Welcome, friends, to the new episode of our YouTube series How Do Expert Manages It. Since the videos are posted on YouTube, one can watch and listen it as and when time permits them. Our today's subject is documentation in our practice. It will be presented by the expert faculty Dr. Santosh Jaibai. Dr. Santosh Bhimrao Jaibai is practicing obstetrician, gynecologist and laparoscopic surgeon in Navi Mumbai and Raigad. He is diploma in endoscopy from Kiel School of Germany. He is a joint director of Om Sai Multispeciality Hospital and Advanced Gynec Endoscopic Surgery Center at Kamathe, Navi Mumbai. He is a member of Indian Association of Gynecological Endoscopists, Association of Medical Consultant and Medical Legal Committees of NMOGS. He is a treasurer at Navi Mumbai Obstetrics Gynec Society. He has to his credit of starting first advanced laparoscopic surgery center in Kamathe, Nord.
Hello friends, I am Dr. Santosh Jaibai and we are going to discuss about the importance and ways of documentation in our day-to-day clinical practice. The first question that comes to our mind is why do we need documentation when we are doing our clinical practice? It is humanly impossible for any doctor to carry all the information about all his patients in his brain, and an accurate and well-maintained record can make difference between life and death in certain situations. A documentation ensures a proper and a good quality of medical care, and it is one of the indicator of good quality patient care. Remember friends, the importance of documentation is known to many of our patients, especially the things like drug allergy and important medical and surgical events. It is important to keep meticulous paperwork. This information has already been percolated to our patients because of consumer health movement by many NGOs. So it is likely that many of our patients may know the importance of such meticulous paperwork for their own medical safety, and don't get surprised if someday some patient confronts us because of our dismal paperwork. Managing these records systematically is really important, as these records are the only way for the doctor to prove that the treatment was carried out properly, and these records become the sole and critical evidence for treating doctor to defend themselves against the claim of negligence in the court of law. Why to keep records? The doctor is duty bound to produce records when asked by the court of law. Failure to do so might lead to adverse inference by the courts. Certain sections of Indian Medical Council Act makes it mandatory for the doctor to provide records to the patient if they have been asked by the patient or their representatives or the legal authorities, and the same record needs to be handed over to the patient within 72 hours of such request, and failure to do so has been regarded as a misconduct according to the MCI Code of Ethics. Certain provisions of Clinical Establishment Act as well as various State Nursing Home Act mandate to keep certain documents. A good quality medical record ensures equally the quality of medical care. Meticulous clinical documentation is one of the indicators of good quality medical care. It ensures that nothing is missed in clinical evaluation and clinical care of that particular patient. It is of tremendous medico-legal importance in case of allegations of medical negligence. It keeps continuity maintained in clinical care of the patient. It can help in some research work related to the particular clinical condition. It helps to decrease stress on medical manpower in the form of an easy accessibility of medical information related to particular patient. It can be of immense help in cases of patient allergic to some medicines that, if that is documented properly, it can sometimes make a difference between life and death. Medical history of a patient is generated in the form of such a record, which is important for treatment of patient in the future. Now, as we know that we need to keep a good quality records for safety in our practice, let us come to what records are we supposed to keep in our practice as an practicing obstetrician and gynecologist. Like any other specialty, we need to keep our OPD records, IPD records. Coming specifically to the OBGY, we also need to keep our birth records, MTP records, PCP and DT records, and operation theatre records. Coming to OPD records, I will not discuss these things in detail, but certain tips and certain tricks which we need to follow during our OPD practice are like as follow. The OPD prescriptions should be readable, preferably in uppercase. It should mention relevant clinical details with provisional diagnosis, suggested investigations with proposed treatment and plan of action. Always write date and time on all OPD prescriptions. Keep doses properly. Write doses properly with information about doses as well as mode of administration. And as far as possible, keep one copy of OPD records with you. Softwares can help us here because we need to keep the OPD records at least for 3 years in our practice. So the OPD consultation sheet it's an important document. All clinical details like present complaints, relevant family history, provisional diagnosis should also be mentioned. Treatment with detailed instructions related to the dosage should be written properly. And if you have advised any investigation to the patient, they should be mentioned on your OPD paper. Coming to the next section about our today's session, that is the PCP and DT record, which is one of the hot topic discussed throughout the country in gynec and radiology forums. So we are going to discuss it in a very short, like what all things are you supposed to keep and maintain as a record for your sonography cases. I have divided them into two categories: one, record of an individual patient; second, records of the center. Coming to the individual patient related records, we are supposed to keep referral letter requesting sonography, which is duly signed and stamped by the referring doctor. If it's your self-referred patient, we have to keep a record of a self-referral in the similar format of a referral record. Then we have to keep a consent or a declaration which is signed by the patient as prescribed in the PCP and DT Act. Then we have to keep a completely filled and signed F form without keeping any column blank in the form. It is to be completely filled and signed both by patient as well as the sonographer. Then comes the sonography report along with the images in hard copy. We have to keep images in the hard copy. We cannot just say that we have soft copy of images in the machine. Hard copy is mandatory. As well as when we submit the online submission of that PF form, a copy of an online submission is also to be preserved simultaneously. Coming to collective records of center, we have to keep 5-column register in the prescribed format which has been given in the PCP and DT Act. When we submit monthly report to the authorities, the copies of all submitted reports needs to be kept, and all sorts of communication with appropriate authorities need to be kept for future reference. And all this record is to be kept at least for 2 years from the date of last entry in the register. The prescriptions should be readable. They should preferably in uppercase. We should write the doses properly with information about the quantity in the dose as well as mode of administration of that particular dose to the patient. Remember, as far as the court of law is concerned and the allegations of medical negligence on a doctor are concerned, the things that are not written on paper are presumed to be not done in reality. So if you have done something, you should make it a point to mention that thing on the paper so that that gets captured on paper as an evidence of you have done that thing. IPD records. What is ideal IPD record? At every time when you see the patient and examine the patient, you have to record date as well as time of examination. You have to keep copies of all your investigation reports and always make it a point to keep a copy of a discharge card. Friends, it is not difficult at all to keep copies of investigations and discharge card. One copy of all the reports attached to indoor papers for hospital record has to be maintained most of the times we give all the reports with the patient and we don't have any investigation reports with us. That makes it very difficult to defend our treatment if need arises. What we can do is we can instruct our pathologist and radiologist colleagues to issue all their reports in duplicate. One copy goes with the patient and one copy can be kept in the hospital records. Or you have one more option, you can create a dedicated mail ID where all reports can be mailed by the lab and stored and can be retrieved as and when they are required to defend the cases of medical negligence. Not having these records can sometimes seriously hamper the defense of involved doctor in case of medical negligence, because in such cases patient whom we have handed over all their investigation report reproduces only those reports which can make his case stronger and intentionally hide those reports which can prove your innocence in the court of law, and that is one of the major setback that can happen to a case of medical negligence even when the treatment has been carried out according to standard guidelines. Importance of this stage is realized when we face allegations of medical negligence and you start preparing for your defense and you realize that all the reports of the patient which were the critical base for your plan of treatment for the patient are with the patient and you don't remember any one of them, and then you have to rely on your memory and guesswork, and that can severely damage your defense in the court of law. Surgical and delivery records is a so important part of your indoor record maintenance. For your surgical and delivery cases, we need to have a proper documentation of pre-operative evaluation, investigations, surgical consents, and the documents mentioning the counseling which has been done with the patient in the pre-operative period. Surgical safety checklist, partograph in case of deliveries, detailed surgical as well as anesthesia notes, post-operative treatment and post-operative monitoring records of the patient, and a copy of discharge card which is having all relevant summary of events during hospitalization along with a follow-up advice that has been given to the patient. Some smart tips and tricks during documentation in our OPD as well as IPD records. No overwriting, no short forms or abbreviations which we use in our day-to-day conversation, but they should not be part of the records. Whenever we are writing on records, we need to write full form of all the short forms which we regularly use. Continuation sheets should be named and numbered. Handwriting should be legible. By legible, I want to emphasize that you should be able to read and interpret your own handwriting even if at all you face some situation even after years. A good handwriting is not an issue of aesthetics, but sometimes it can become an issue of ethics at least, or sometimes maybe an issue of life and death sometimes if the handwriting is not proper and it has been interpreted in a wrong way by the nursing staff. Clinical findings of the consultant as well as nursing staff should correlate on paper. After discharge, treating consultant should personally check all the papers. Copies of indoor records should be given to the patient only and only after written application has been given by the patient and after getting due clearance from the treating consultant. And acknowledgement of such receipts of indoor record from the patient should be taken without fail. Next important part of documentation is how long we need to preserve our records and how we can destroy once the preservation period is over. So various acts have given different time duration for which the record related to that particular act needs to be maintained. So this slide gives us an idea about that. Consumer Protection Act needs papers to be kept for 2 years, civil litigation for 3 years. If there is a criminal case, then there is no limit. We have to keep it practically lifelong. MTP Act, it is to be kept for 5 years. PCPNDT Act for 2 years. Income Tax Act, which require your papers related to the accounts for 8 years. FOXI guidelines are for 5 years. ART guidelines, the record is to be kept for 10 years. Now, once the record is that particular duration of record keeping is over, we need to destroy these records. So we have to discuss these things, like why should we destroy the records, how should we destroy it, and when the records should be destroyed. Of these three questions, why, how and when, we have already discussed when we can destroy medical records. Now, why to destroy medical records? Because if these are physical records, the storage is going to be a big headache, especially for the small nursing homes keeping records for 5 years, 10 years. The storage will be a big headache. So lack of storage is one of the important reason why we should destroy the records after the prescribed period of keeping those records is over. Now coming to the next question, how the records are to be destroyed. Before we plan destroying medical records, we need to give a advertisement in the not an advertisement as such, but a notice in the local newspaper, one paper of the regional language and one of the national language, at least 30 days before your plan, when you are planning to destroy those records, and asking people to approach hospital in those 30 days if they want any of these records for their pursuit. So this is the procedure which is to be followed, and once the notice period is over, the papers can be destroyed. There are certain agencies which destroy the papers by shredding or by burning, and they issue the certificate to the hospital that a record of that particular duration has been destroyed, and it has been certified by those agencies. So various ways by which records can be destroyed, they can be shredding or burning, which is to be followed. So friends, at the end, a perfect clinical documentation is what we should aim at. So let us start practicing a perfect clinical documentation. I wish all of you a safe and a litigation free practice in future. Thank you very much for attending this session.
Thank you very much, Dr. Santosh, for a very interesting and educative talk of our day-to-day practice with slide presentations. Friends, please like the link and share it to your friends, your colleagues and your students. Please share the links to the WhatsApp group of your society to share the knowledge. Thank you.